Hi everyone, welcome back to the Geordie View. So Newcastle United, I can't believe I'm about to say this. I'm feeling so emotional right now. Newcastle United have been sold by Mike Ashley to the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia. This is going to make us, I think, the richest club in the world. Oh, man. Oh, I cannot believe what's this. We've gone from Mike Ashley to this. And by the way, it's not even just about having, you know, being the richest club in the world. It's not just about, as much as we like to joke on about potentially signing likes of Kylian Mbappe and Erling Haaland. It's just about getting them out and getting owners with ambition. And these guys, looking at that club statement that was put out this evening, they've looks to me like they've got ambition for this football club. We'll get to talk a bit about it later on. But we'll start off with the bad things Mike Ashley's done in his tenure. First up, the treatment of managers. Kevin Keegan, 2008. This is when he showed his true colours. When, basically, he sold James Milner for 12 million to Aston Villa. Player Keegan wanted to keep. There's a possibility. This has come out in like autobiographies in the past 5 years or whatever, where, we thought we could get Bastian Schweinsteiger. How did they think we could do that? Instead, we got Gonzalez on loan from Valencia. And that's a player Keegan didn't want. And he walked out, and you couldn't blame him. A player signed behind his back. And that's obviously when the fans started to get toxic towards Mike Ashley. And once you do that to a fan base like Newcastle, you're never going to win it back. The next one, obviously Chris Hughton in 2010 when he got promoted, we were in such a mess going into the 2009-10 season, but he steadied the ship, got us out of the Championship, and with 102 points, which is the club record, he was given the bullet, despite us doing alright when we came back in the Premier League. We hammered Sunderland 5-1, we beat Chelsea in the League Cup, we won at the Emirates, and obviously Rafa Benitez in 2019, just not backing him in the transfer market. I mean, he stuck around because, for the fans, but you just knew he was going to walk eventually, and that's what he did. Also, the treatment of Jonas Gutierrez and Ryan Taylor. Gutierrez having, battled testicular cancer, coming back and then putting in, match performance in it against West Ham on the final day when we needed a win to be sure of staying up, assisting Musa Sissoko and then scoring Crack goal himself. I was there that day and, we hadn't won a game for 3 months, but that was just unbelievable that day. He showed fight when we had a lot of bottle jobs in the side, right? Sammy Amiobi was given a contract over him, and Sammy Amiobi was absolutely useless in the second half of that season. And Ryan Taylor, that was bad enough, but the fact that him and Ryan Taylor, by the way, I agreed with Ryan Taylor going because he was past it by that point, released by telephone, it was just absolutely pathetic. The other point is the 2 relegations. For a club of our size, getting relegated once is a crime. Relegated twice, pathetic, and that's an understatement. In 2009 and 2016, then you look at the managers we've had. Joe Kinnear brought in to replace Kevin Keegan 4 years after he'd been sacked, left Nottingham Forest, and they were struggling in the Championship. And it was just a torrid campaign. 2008-09. John Carver right after Alan Pardew came in. Fair enough, we probably didn't think we were going to get relegated. But still, you've got to do better than John Carver. We nearly got relegated from a comfortable position that we were when Alan Pardew left. You think that he was just in and because we could get better managers in the summer, but somehow we managed to downgrade him, and that will bring us on to the next manager, Steve McLaren. £80 million spent. Got some good players. Gino Wijnaldum, John Joe Shelby, Andros Townsend, Chancellor Mbemba, and he got us relegated. getting smashed by Crystal Palace, Leicester, Manchester City, Chelsea, who were awful that season. 3-1 at Hunter Bournemouth when he put Riviera up top. Oh, that was comical, man. And of course, Mr. Steve Bruce, Carriage. I mean, and the fact he's not even bothered to sack him, man. But as I'm going to explain later, I cannot see him lasting long, and that's probably the positive out of this. That it looks inevitable he's going to be out the door soon. The odds have been slashed. I think is it 1-4 scene for him to be the next Premier League manager to go. It looked like it was going to be Arteta, but now it's probably Steve Bruce. Also, the lack of money spent in the transfer windows. Mainly 2013, we didn't spend any money. We brought in like Remy on QPR. Remy helped with his goals. He kept us up, but it was only a loan sign from a relegated club. 2018, also when we had a net profit. We sold Mitrovic for 22 million, and we didn't bother to activate Salman Rondon's 16.5 million release clause. We just went in for a loan deal, and then we didn't even bother to sign him. And obviously that kind of led to Rafa Benitez leaving. The training facilities, I'm going to touch on. This is, the training facilities, they're just outdated. Paddling pools, wheelie bins for recoveries. It's just a joke. It's an absolute joke. You've seen better facilities down in like League One, probably lower than that. But I'm sure the owners will look to change them up. And probably the worst of all was the Sports Direct Arena, changing the name of St James's Park to that. I never got used to Sports Direct Arena. I always called it St James's Park. I mean, a ground like that, you just kind of change the name. It's the same with that for like commercial reasons. It's the same with like Old Trafford, Anfield, Villa Park, and many other stadiums across the world. It's just been there that long that you just can't change the name. Yeah, fair enough. The Man City had the Etihad Stadium. It used to be Eastlands, but that doesn't really feel the same as St James Park, because Man City did play at Main Road up until 2003. Alright, so we'll look at the attempts he's put the club up. See, tried twice early on, right after Keegan left, but he took it off the mark after a few months, and then he tried again at the end of the season after we got relegated. But he took it off the market again when he gave Chris Hughton the permanent job. I mean, deservedly so for Chris Hughton. But he's obviously had the club up for sale for 4 years, and it's third time lucky he's managed to sell the club. PCP were actually the first company really to come in. I remember Amanda Staveley was at the game against Liverpool just before Ashley put the club up for sale. I think it looked like it was going to go through, but it didn't. I think they wanted some relegation clause in there. Peter Kenyon the following season, but he just did not have the money. I think he tried again the following in the 2019-20 season, but again, just it never got off the ground. The Binzai group, I think we were all confident this was going to happen in 2019. We're thinking these guys are going to come in, save the day, keep Rafa Benitez, or if not, get another good manager in. But let's be honest, I just think they didn't show the proof of funds, really. And I could see why Ashley wanted the proof of funds, because it's no good any of us saying, "Oh, I've got this amount of money," and then not proving it to buy the club. I mean, these guys failed to take over Derby County, right, in the EFL. Says it all. Despite Rafa leaving, I'm actually glad he didn't sell to Binzai Group, despite how excited we were. But finally, he sold to PIF, and obviously Reuben Brothers and PCP Capitals. The deal was agreed April 2020 during the first lockdown. So I think he really needed the money because, Sports Direct and was closing along with other shops around the country, and but fell through July 2020. We had I mean, in between that, actually, we did have the BN group coming in, but they were just another bunch of frauds, in my opinion. I mean, they're saying, "Oh, we're going to sign Ronaldo. We're going to make Shearer manager." Nah, sorry, that's unrealistic expectations. And but when they talk about the PIF takeover, it was the club said in September 2020, separate from the KSA, well, sorry, the Saudi Arabian government, will provide the evidence for it, but we are considering options. Then we had the competition of the cat case last week, but this week the piracy issues have been settled. So it turns out it was turned down because BN Sport, who are a partner of the Premier League, were banned in Saudi Arabia, and that's why they couldn't get the takeover done. But they sorted that out, and that's why we've been able to get this deal through. So we'll look at their tasks, what we need to see from them. Well, first up, the training facilities, as I mentioned, an absolute mess. And if you're gonna, you need to fix it if you're gonna attract good players to the football club. Whether you want to develop what we've got now or just move somewhere else. I think probably better that I prefer to develop what we've got now. Give them like proper swimming pools. Look at other Premier League clubs. The facilities are just out of date, really. A new manager, as I said, I can't see Steve Bruce lasting much longer. I think Stavely was saying, they hadn't decided on Steve Bruce's future tonight, but I just can't see him lasting much longer at this club after this. And good riddance when he does go. And you can take Lee Charnley with him and Mike Ashley's other puppets. And I'm sure they will go, and they'll bring in their own people. The academy, that will be good to look at. And by the way, it's not just a thing that's because of Mike Ashley. It's been something that's been going on even before his dream, where we've had players, local lads, leaving the area. Think, Michael Carrick, Alan Shearer, going to better academies. I'd like to see them come back here and, get links with these clubs in the north, the east, to get them maybe to come here, the best players to come here, and hopefully we'll get them into a professional contract at this club. I like the look of Elliot Anderson, Joe White, Dylan Stevenson so far. There'll probably be other players later on. Be good to just develop those lads well, because imagine what they could do. Matty Longstaff's another one. Hopefully, he after his loan spell at Aberdeen, he can come back and do well under a new manager. Club legends have been, exiled. I'd love to see them come back, especially Kevin Keegan. Just be brilliant to give him like an ambassadorial role at the club. I mean, he's not going to come back into management, but just seeing him back in the club would be fantastic. And the communication, because the communication's just been very poor at this club. Pretty much throughout this particularly throughout this takeover saga and the previous one in with the Binzai group, where people were just putting in the reply to every post like no comment. But looking at a few other clubs in the Premier League, they've really benefited off their current owners. Chelsea under Roman Abramovich. I feel like maybe Chelsea, when Roman came in, it kind of changed where football was heading. It's about the money. Like a lot more about the money. And that kind of, John Hall gave everything for us. But maybe that gave an indication that you need to sell to someone else because he couldn't compete with Abramovich. But Ashley just, let him down, really. Let the whole fan base down. Then we'll look at Manchester City. I don't mind not being the next Manchester City, but that would be absolutely fantastic. It could be, they've invested in the area. They've invested in the future of the club. By the way, I'm not one to just go for the best player, all the good players straight away. Carlos Tevez, Adebayor. But They obviously got there. They didn't start strongly. I mean, they finished 10th the first season under the owners. The sacked Mark Hughes, finished 5th. But then they started getting Champions League football season in, season out. And obviously the final one is Leicester City. The owners, not the richest. You know, they took over them in the Championship. But, you know, they won promotion from the Championship after 10 years out of the Premier League. I mean, they had a season in League One. A bit like Manchester City. Well, like with Leicester and Man City's fans, a lot of them been through the pains of relegations. You know, Leicester got back into the Premier League and won the thing, and that was just an inspiration for us all, really. Sadly, Vichy passed away in 2018. Then his son took over running the club, and they got back near the top of the league, finishing 5th 2 years running, winning the FA Cup. You know, just a brilliant story, and I think it's more of a fairy tale because they're not the richest. It's just they put the heart and soul into Leicester City Football Club, and I hope we can do that. Our owners can do that. I'm sure they will. I mean, the things they've obviously made were attractive. What can help us with these owners? The stadium. You know, we've got a massive stadium. Maybe they could expand it, but I mean, I've seen, you know, apparently over 50,000 people trying to get season tickets yesterday. You know, with a massive stadium and with the fan base we've got, you know, if we're getting back into Europe, players are going to want to be part of that. I think that's what's helped to attract, you know, likes of Alan Saint-Maximin, like the fan base, because they might look at one and think, I want to play in front of that fan base. The goal film, I've actually just been watching it tonight when I came back from St James's Park for the celebrations. Colin Wilson's mentioned, you know, a blockbuster film. You know, obviously taking back when Wad's ambition, and people will refer to Newcastle like that's the team in goal that Muniz played for before he went to Real Madrid in goal 2. You know, Callum Wilson mentioned it. Like, that was the reason he chose Newcastle over Aston Villa. The Champions League nights in the past, because we've had those Champions League nights, they'll look to us and think Newcastle United can get back there. It's the similar with Leeds United. They can get back into the Champions League one day with, you know, if they get things right. And then you got to look at clubs like lower down leagues that have been in the Premier League. I kind of think they can get back in the Premier League. You know, we're not expecting it, but that's the potential. Champions League football with that stadium. And, you know, we're beating the likes of Juventus, Barcelona in the competition. And a lot of people will watch those games. They'll remember us for that. You know, even the Europa League nights. I was at that Andrew game when Cisse scored right at the death. I was at the Benfica game. We got knocked out, but the atmosphere was unreal. You know, we thought there was a chance going through when Cisse scored. Until Salvio put Benfica into the semi-finals. If that's the atmosphere on Europa League night, imagine on a Champions League night. And finally, the entertainers. Again, people might remember us for like the entertainers from Keegan's era, Sir Bobby's era, and thing. You know, they'll watch that. Like, I think Alan Saint-Maximin's mentioned David Ginola in the past. You know, people would have probably will remember us for that. You know, when we did have the entertainers, even though we didn't win a trophy. And the final thing I'm going to touch on, investment in the area. I mean, let's be honest, it's been hard for the North East with the pandemic, you know, especially when we were getting extra restrictions by the government. You know, the Tories didn't like the North East. But this would be so important that they invest in our area, the group that's coming in. And, I mean, it would be brilliant for the North East, like, for us getting this takeover, Sunderland's takeover early in the year. You know, getting these owners, like the Manchester City owners, have invested in Manchester, from what I've heard. You know, they've helped out in the community. I'd love to see the Newcastle. I'm hoping Newcastle owners do it. I'm confident they will. Anyway, that's the end of the video. It's been a long one, but I'm so buzzing, man. I can't believe it. Anyway, don't forget to like, subscribe my channel, check out my social media pages in the description below. Thank you for watching, if you somehow made it up to this point, and I'll see you later.
Bobby Robson, one Bobby Robson, walking along, singing a song, walking in a Robson Wonderland.